So, yes, he's already called by someone. I would like to have one thing from you. Someone of you should now go into YouTube with their phone and check whether one can hear me from outside. So everyone here in the room can hear me without having speakers of the room. Yes, so I can simply talk without needing a room microphone. Great. So then the setup is easier. I only need this little microphone so that remote attendees can hear me. We are only checking now that whether remote attendees actually hear me. What's that?
I think the other mic is connected to this also.
Yes, for testing, we should not be close to other. So stay at that corner. I go to the other side of the room and you check whether you hear me. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Did you hear me on the video? Great, great. So then it's all okay. Then I will give the workshop. Thank you very much. So as a first point, we need the setup for the exercises, and everyone, I hope has downloaded the files and already started to go through the readme.md file and check the points on how to install snapd if needed on Ubuntu. This is default, and Snapcraft, the tool with which one creates snaps. And Snapcraft needs also LXD, which comes as a snap. And if you have these all installed, then you have everything to be able to build snaps. And also in the readme.md are things of special cases. For example, if you have a Linux distribution which does not support Snap, exactly the ones which support Snap are the ones which use systemd as boot management. And on other distributions, it makes sense to use a virtual machine. Or when you are using Mac, you should also Mac OS, you should also use a virtual machine. And if you are using Windows, you have to use WSL and do the stuff in WSL. And so you most of you should be able to set up Snapcraft. If you are not able to set up Snapcraft, if nothing of the methods described in the readme.md file helps for you, you can perhaps work together with one of the other people here. Anyone is having any problems with the setup? So nobody, then you are a nice group. A week ago, they all had problems at the Ubucon Asia in Nepal. And yes, and I hope that several of you have been in my talk yesterday. Who of you have been in my talk yesterday? Oh, there are some. So most should, so you should also already know the basics of Snap. So I will not tell much about the basics of Snap. The workshop is a part of a workshop series which I have organized in 2022, 3 years ago, for the first Ubuntu Summit. And at that time, I've given another workshop, a Daemon Snappers workshop about snapping daemons. And another person, a colleague of mine, had signed up to create and give this workshop. This was Heather Ellsworth, and she got help by Lucy Llewellyn. And they've given the very first edition of the workshop and have actually created it. And this version of the workshop, which I'm giving, is mostly that one. So thanks to these people, and there are many other people giving the workshop. For example, last week I have given it together with Soumya Deb-Ghosh from the Snapcrafters, and your own pace. And also, in the end of the slide deck, after the actual workshop, there are some advanced topics through which you can work also. And so may the source and the slides always be with you. So the workshop is you will actually learn how to make a snap of simple applications. I will not give a big introduction into what Snap is because of the talk yesterday. In the original workshop, there was when I have given the workshop for the first time, there was no talk before. Therefore, in this slide deck is a lot which you have already seen in my talk, and so I will mostly concentrate on the exercises. Any one of you does not know what Snap is? So there's someone, yes, you know, yes, one thing is Snap. For one person, I think it is not good that I give an introduction into Snap. Or do you all want that I give a short introduction into Snap? What? Start with exercises. Yes, I will do so. So one thing also what you should know, I did not give an instruction about, is that you know a little bit about installing packages from source, configure, make, install, and also installing debs and classic packages like Debian or RPM. Also know a little bit how to make small tweaks on code, and also about how to write a shell script. So, and with this workshop, I want that many people learn how to make snaps, as snaps are versatile packages. And actually, the best is if upstream developers snap their own stuff. So it would be good if any one of you is publishing any application upstream, that they snap it already. But if you have nice upstream applications, but the upstream developers do not like Snap, do not think it's necessary, and do not snap their application, it would be great if someone steps up voluntarily to create snaps for these. And there's also a project, the Snap Crafters, a group of people who are snapping applications who do not get snapped upstream. Yes, the setup in more detail is in the README MD file. Yes, and the snap is a way of distribution independent and sandbox packaging. Distribution independent, this helps. It is because when you have an application, the application comes in source code, and most users do not know how to compile source code to make use of the application, and so they depend often on the goodwill of distribution maintainers to package the application for their distribution. And also these packages are often not the newest version. And this is a little bit of a nightmare. And when you see in a smartphone, it's much easier. You go into the App Store, the Google Play Store, and choose an application and install it. And when you see Android smartphones, There you have also a lot of difficult distributions. Each manufacturer has a little bit different Android. And also Canonical has created a smartphone. They discontinued it quickly, but they've created Ubuntu Touch, a smartphone operating system. And from that, they have learned, and this ended up that they have created Snap, initially as a packaging format for IoT, and for the all Snap Linux distribution Ubuntu Core. And this packaging format turned out to be also a nice packaging format, not only for IoT applications or for system applications, daemons and kernels for the IoT Ubuntu Core, but also for desktop applications. And this made it more popular. And once it's distribution independent, you snap your application, and users of every Linux distribution on which one can install Snapd, so all systemd-based Linux distributions, can install your application as a snap. And this means less testing, less time needed, less cost. And so, for example, it would be easier for a manufacturer to provide drivers as a snap, as it works then on all distributions, and they do not have the problem that they have to test on so many different distributions. And also, snaps have a security shell. The snap is running in a security capsule, and so it has no access to the host system, the snap application. And with this, you can have a third-party application, and you can install it without any fear that there can be a malware inside which breaks your system, because your system is protected by the security shell of the snap. The application in the snap can only communicate with the system through well-defined interfaces. And one thing is special, I tell here about a sandboxed distribution independent packaging format. And probably you all know another sandboxed distribution independent packaging format. Anyone knows one? Yes. And this is a very often used system, but it has a very, very important disadvantage. Flatpak only allows to package desktop applications. No command line applications, no daemons, no system applications, no kernel, no boot system, also no all Flatpak operating system. An immutable operating system where you can add applications by Flatpak. All the system is immutable, including the printer and scanner drivers, and everything is in the immutable core and can only be replaced by replacing the whole immutable core. So this already prevents the quick addition of drivers. And so the snap is generally the better concept for an immutable operating system, as the operating system itself can also be in snaps. And manufacturers could provide drivers in snaps. And so now you have a short introduction, what the hell are snaps? And so we can start with the exercises. At first, we have a very simple application. Yes, we have a very simple application. which is the Hello World application of GTK. GTK, as you know, is a graphical toolkit which GNOME uses as its base. And as a small example to learn programming graphical user interface applications, they have put up under this link, but you find it also in the GitHub, which I reference in the slides, and where Soumya-Deb references another in the README-MD. You find there the source code, a single file, the source code of this little application. And you download the source code and put it somewhere on your machine. And then you go into the directory where you have put it, and you run this this longer GCC command line. You copy and paste it from the slides or from the README file. And also important, you need to have the build requirements for that. You need to have the GTK library and its development headers. And in the slide, and you can either, there's probably in the README a method to install that. And also on my slides, there's also one. Where is this? When you see this here, to install them on Ubuntu, you can also use the first 3 command lines: the Ubuntu managers, the sudo apt install build essential git, and sudo build dep GNOME text editor. When you run these 3 command lines, you can install the needed libraries to compile the Hello World application. The first one is to activate in your package list the source packages, so that when you run an apt command, that it finds also source packages. Then the second command will install everything which you need to build programs, C compilers, make, and so on. They are all installed as a dependency of the pseudo package build essential, the meta package build essential. And you install also Git, so that you can, if you don't, so that you can clone a Git repository. And the next one, the next command line, apt build dep. Build dep means build dependencies. And you install the build dependencies for the application GNOME text editor. This is a simple GNOME application, and build dependencies means all files to create the Debian package of GNOME text editor. And exactly these files you will also use. A part of these files you will also use for the Hello World app. You find them on my slides, which you have downloaded. So I go back to the exercise. What you are doing here, you are compiling manually a program on your system. You are not snapping it by these commands, but it's only that you see what program you will snap and how it should look like when you start it. So users, because it can once it can make mistakes as humans do, and second, there can be even somebody who checks the artificial intelligence, use artificial intelligence to inject malware, and so you can get malware.
कैम की तो जरूरत नहीं होगी कैम की जरूरत होगी
Contributions on any AI. When you have effectively, you have source code, but you have effectively no source problem where you don't know what it is doing.
ये लाइव HDMI इधर है
So मैं इसको भी वो कर देता हूँ शेयर लाइव भी मतलब ये शो होगा फिर
हाँ जी
Yes, you must upload your slides. So
we'll share your screen.
Yes.
No, I just have one introduction slide. हाँ स्क्रीन है ना बस बढ़िया है
स्क्रीन शेयर करते हैं स्लाइड शेयर करना क्या करते हैं
स्क्रीन ठीक है
ओके सो
क्योंकि हम तो कोडिंग भी करेंगे
ओके शेयर स्क्रीन
yes, we
कर
see
लूंगा
now
मैं
a lot
ठीक है
of
I will do
people
later
who are now here in
audio is going
yeah
it's off
actually
okay बोलिए
स्क्रीन शेयर करने के बाद उसके यहाँ पे वो देगा ऐड टू स्टेज तो सारी चीजें यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट हो जाएगी
ओके एक सेकंड मैं ये सेटअप देख लूं अपना It's actually updating the it's loading a VS Code extension.
You're doing some live demo.
Yes, we will
So you
do some full stack applications.
Yes. You have to share the screen then with StreamYard, so that
Yes.
your live
We will,
demo
yes.
will get into this live
Yes,
stream,
yes.
so that outside participants and
Yes, correct. And
yes. And one thing also, when you're ready, don't forget this on you. Don't leave the room with that.
yes.
Put it there. There's a little black box, and put it inside the box. It's like AirPods for
Right.
getting charged.
Yes, we'll do. Thank you. And right.
And also, I do not want that they get lost. They are my own.
They are
ones.
yours.
Okay. Yes, I have bought them just for organizing conferences.
Wow. Okay. So okay. All right. And all right. Okay. So get started.
Listen, this big, all equipment of a conference organizer.
Yes. All right. Let us share this. How do I from current slide? Okay, it's visible. Sorry, that was my previous talk. All right. Okay,
Yes, this is nice.
that's view from my place.
What?
That's view from my place.
Nice.
All right.
Yes.
स्ट्रीमिंग शुरू नहीं हुआ है ना अभी
स्लाइड शो हो रहा है
हाँ, हाँ।
ये यूट्यूब पे नहीं जा रहा है
अच्छा ये कहाँ से स्ट्रीम हो रहा था स्ट्रीम यार्ड which is StreamYard here कहाँ है श्रीप्यार? ये रहा ना? Can you please share it? आप कर दो. Present. Share screen. हमारा है. नहीं आ रहा है? Only the आप सेटअप कर दीजिए.
Any problem?
Maybe Samskar knows, you can call him. Okay, in meantime, getting echo there. Okay, so how can we remove this echo? Hello. Okay, so let me just talk about today's workshop, okay? Can we disable that? Sound from the projector. यहाँ पे ट्राई कर लेंगे, आप भी आ जाना उस टाइम जब चलाएंगे. इन्हीं से करवाएंगे. स्क्रीन पे विल शो हाउ टू डू इट.
हो रहा है दिपेश वहाँ से करते रहेंगे हम लोग. आप बोल सकते हैं यहाँ से.
देश का तो चल नहीं रहा है शूट में हमारे. आपके तो थोड़ा बहुत तो चल रहा था. आप देखो तब तक कुछ हो जाता है सेटअप. कोलैबोरेटर. ये प्रोजेक्टर का माइक बंद कर सकते हैं?
प्रोजेक्टर का माइक.
हाँ देखो ना, एको आ रहा है.
ओह अच्छा.
and then in that best practices, they get compromised many times. So engineering, when done as a craft, right? One is we make a feature work, all right? The second is we make it work, but we implement it very nicely. Something that we can feel proud of, and a solution that can work for years without anyone needing to change it. For example, how many of you know about ixigo.com, IXIGO? Okay. I was the third engineer in that company. 2008 and 9, 2 years I worked there. And last year I went to their IPO in Bombay. They invited me. So I was told by the CTO and CEO that the code I wrote is still running the heart of Ixigo's engine. Okay. So I felt so good, and they were also very happy. And that's how engineering should be. It's how many years? 2009, 16 years. The code is still alive. All right. That is what 10x engineering is about. And at Godspeed, we are making tools so that students, developers, and teams can do 10x engineering using, for example, our microservice framework. We are the authors of world's first 4th generation microservice framework in Node.js. So you typically develop applications in Node.js with Express, do things, right? That is a 3rd generation, as we call it. Okay. 4th generation is when we add higher abstractions on top of programming. For example, schema-driven development, configuration versus code philosophy. Okay, reusability, modular architectures. So when you bring those higher abstractions into your development practices, we call it the 4th generation. Okay. You can find all of these blogs on our company blog or my newsletter, 10x Engineering. Now, the second piece we built is Sarthi. It's a extension in VS Code. We have still not officially launched it, but today we will have an early preview of Sarthi, all of you. So it's an extension in VS Code, which is your full engineering team within VS Code. It starts from your product manager who notes down the requirements, to your architect who will do the architecture, and from there it will go on to have your developers who will code, QA team who will do test cases. There's also a code review mode. That guy will go and review your code, what you've done. And as well, there are some standard workflows that we have made, which we will see today. For example, if we have an issue in GitHub, what is the right way to raise an MR from that issue? What is a good practice? Good practices driven way to create a merge request from an issue on GitHub using agents. All right, while we navigate. So we will see all of these things today. My goal is to demonstrate to you today just a little bit about how best practices based engineering can be done with vibe coding. All right. So in Sarthi, we can all chat with it, but at same time, we will see how the software we have implemented using Sarthi plus our microservice framework will build a full stack small application. All right. And then we will learn some best practices which you must take for your life from here. Okay, we will go through some best practices. Maybe some of them you will see for the first time today. So are you excited to start this journey? Lovely. With this presentation is over. We will move straight away to, let me quickly show you our website once. This is our website. And within this website, we will navigate to a link which I will show you shortly. But like I said, this is our, it's not showing. Let's just share the entire screen. Acha, it's sharing the screen, and how duplicate. All right. Is the YouTube live also working with this? Let us go back here. present. I hope it's working. Let's continue. All right. So, yeah. So why we exist, right? We exist. Why do we exist? It's very important. See, even if you're coding, do you ask yourself why? Do you ask why? You should always ask why. This should be the first question. Whether you are writing code or doing anything in life, always there should be a why. Even for a company to exist, there has to be a why, right? So what is our why? We want happiness and prosperity for humankind. That's why we exist, okay? And we are building various tools and community ecosystem to enable, to help execute, and to grow as a community, okay? So today in this workshop, we are going to see Sarthi, the VS Code extension, and we are going to see Param, our fourth generation microservices framework today, all right? More stuff is coming in the future, but we'll go through that later. And so let me, without taking more time, jump straight away to this Sarthi. All right. You don't need to install it right away. Let me first just quickly give a walkthrough of this tool. All right. So Sarthi, as you can see, it's inspired by Krishna. Krishna is the Sarthi. He's the orchestrator. All right. So here, this particular plugin will help you orchestrate your engineering workflows. It will help you build really good software. That's what we are aiming at. You, in vibe coding world, you must have seen Lovable, Replit, right? Have you spent good amount of time with Replit or some other tools like this, right? Did you ever feel that you get stuck after a while in Replit? Correct? Because see, Replit and Lovable, they are the first generation of vibe coding tools, right? They are able to do small stuff. They will help you make a small website, a small product. But the moment you start building real systems, which the world can use, they are not going to help you. Okay, that's where at Godspeed Systems, we want to democratize how real software in production in industry can be built without any limitations. That's why we built our own framework. That's why we have this agentic extension as well. All right. So let me quickly take you through this. So here in Sarthi, there's a bunch of things you can explore. Everything is in our documentation. If you go to Godspeed Systems, docs, you will find microservice framework. You will find Sarthi. Okay. Now coming back, Sarthi basically is your full team. You can come and ask it any question about the framework, about Sarthi, any other question, it will give you answers. This uses a RAG node. Sorry, MCP. How many of you know about MCP? What is MCP? Very interesting. So how many don't know about MCP? My goodness. Amazing. So today you are going to discover something very beautiful. Okay. ठीक है जी. So we will come to that. So now, first of all, this is your team. Okay. For example, I'll start with, in industry, how do we write software? In fact, when you solve a problem, how should you do it in the industry, in corporate, in professional work? First, a product manager comes and he will give you requirements. You will first note down what you want to build. Correct? Then you will create issues on GitHub or Jira. That's the second step. Third step, from those issues, you'll start creating merge requests. Correct? Then within the process of merge request, you will need to do test case automation and you will need to do code reviews also. All right. So hence out here, we also have a QA lead engineer. He will make a full testing strategy, do full test coverage of a project, and even, generate a testing report for you. Okay. In industry, when big companies, they ship a release, they need reports with every release. How many test cases are passed, for example. Okay. Code review. There's a code review bot also. All right. This code review will actually go and review your code on 6 dimensions, and he will submit a report of how well your project was done, and there should be no critical or highly severe issue in your code. For example, no secrets in your code. right? These things. Then there is, of course, the code mode, which does encodes full stack apps, any language, any platform, whatever you need to do, you can code. Architect will make technical architecture diagrams, and it will make your technical requirement documents before you proceed. Once you have product requirement, technical requirements, you ask the code mode to go build a product for you. Okay. And there is an orchestrator. Orchestrator's job is you give it a big task. All right. It will break that big task down and divide it into the team and get it done. Okay. So for example, if we run this workflow, another feature is the workflows. So just 1 second, my teammate has joined. I'll unmute. Yes. All right. This is my team wanting to join. Okay. And yes, so these are some workflows. So apart from your team, there are some ready-made workflows for you available here. For example, you want to create a Docker file for your project, starting from something as simple. You want to create CRUD APIs in the Godspeed microservice framework. It's there so that you don't have to go and learn 10 things, read documentation. There's a workflow made for you. Okay. UI generation. If you want to generate user interface from prompts, you want to download and run a Docker container. There's a coach mode also. It can generate any kind of learning tracks for you. It will give you assignments. It will evaluate your assignments, and it will give you score also. So you can learn on VS Code while practicing. Make your own learning tracks. Any kind of domain, not just tech. All right. So all of these workflows are there. Just say GitHub issue to pull request with review. All right. All these workflows are there. So this is, and you can connect any kind of LLM. You can connect any APIs. There are lots of features. It can also call your terminal. Cloud Code. You have used Cloud Code, right? It works from terminal, right? So here it can run your terminal also. All right. It can do everything for you. Now coming to MCP. Let me show you. MCP. There we are. Yep. So what is MCP protocol? It started with HTTP, right? We all know of HTTP servers. Now a new protocol has come. It's called Message Context Protocol. All right. This protocol is for AI agents to call your APIs. This means that while chatting on Sarthi, we can call any MCP server. All the big products that you use, GitHub, Jira, YouTube, LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't have official. But GitHub, Jira, YouTube, for example, they have MCP servers. So the same REST APIs they have exposed via MCP protocol also. This means from chat, we can access that. All right. Here you can see I have two MCP servers. This is a Godspeed MCP server. Whenever you will ask a question about framework, it will call this and give answers. For example, we can try. And this is one API that we have exposed via the MCP server. Okay. Similarly, GitHub MCP also. We can, when we will run a GitHub workflow, it will set up a GitHub MCP server and talk to it. Okay. So, for example, let me ask a question. For example, how do I create a new project using Godspeed framework? It has started a task. Approve. Wait a minute. Oh, some bug with the UI. Let me just start a new task. Yeah. Now you see, I asked it a question about the microservice framework. Okay. We have configured a prompt in your prompt you can write, whenever, what we have done, whenever a user asks question about Godspeed's MCP server, Godspeed framework, call this MCP server. So you see this agent wants to use a tool. They call it a tool. How many of you have heard the word tool when doing AI related programming? You've heard? So when you work with AI and agents, right, you are always calling tools. What is tool in Hindi? औजार. ठीक है ना? So AI wants to use a tool to get different things done. So here, this is a tool. A tool can be what? A tool can be a remote MCP server, like call YouTube API and fetch me transcript for these videos. Okay? Or a tool could be code that you've written. So the LLM in its response will tell you, how it works. No, when you call an LLM in your prompt, you send it list of all tools available. That I am giving you this job, you have these 10 tools available to get it done. Then LLM in response will one by one say, let's run this tool. Next, let's run that tool. You get it? Simple so far. So here it is asking to run a tool, call the Godspeed MCP server, and it will fetch the answer from there. Let's see. I have approved it to call the tool. Let's wait. Maybe this is taking time. For some reason, it is getting stuck. No problem. We'll come to this later. For some reason, this tool is getting stuck. Maybe the API call is taking too long, but we'll try with a GitHub tool later in the workshop. Okay. So let's get started. So in this workshop, we are going to develop a very simple full stack application. All right. And let me share the screen with them also. And all of you can navigate to this page, godspeed.system/workshop. Here you'll get a link to a drive. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to create our own setup. All right. Then we are going to create a Godspeed project, run our first API, a Hello World API. After that, we are going to ask Sarthi that modify this API. This will be Hello World. If I'll say Ayush is my name, it will say Hello Ayush. That's our first API. Okay. After that, what we'll say, let's add a question. We'll give instruction to Sarthi. Allow the user to ask a question. So Sarthi will go modify the API. It will add a new field called question. And based on the question, we will also say, go ask Google Gemini API, call some LLM and get answer to this question, and then show it to the user. And we will do it in a full stack way. There will be a user interface also, which will render this. All right. And we will cover some best practices on the way. I will give you names of those best practices that we will see today. In meantime, you can install Sarthi on VS Code as well. But first is schema-driven development. How many of you have heard this name? Have you heard the word schema? Second is single source of truth. How many of you have heard this? कभी सुना है? Configure over code. security and compliance. Yep, these 4 practices. And modular architecture, 5th. All right. So we are going to have a look at these. And any questions so far? Hanji.
Sir, as you mentioned, the MCP allows external tools, like to integrate with SAP.
Anywhere, even Cloud Desktop has MCP integrations.
Like, may I know, like, what kind of integration have you used so far for this?
So many, as in, for example, today we will see, we can try to see to integrate GitHub. Okay. So what we do, this particular workflow called issue to MR workflow, right? If we do this, what I have asked that I will give you a GitHub issue and create a merge request from there. It will go get data from GitHub. Okay. And it will then basically, which I asked it here itself, start a new task. So this will go and connect to GitHub and start reading your issues from GitHub and start to implement them. And then it will create a merge request. Okay. We even use LinkedIn MCP tool for our marketing. So what happens is we just told that here are some 100 customer profiles we are interested in. Go study their LinkedIn post for last 1 month and create personalized messaging for each one of them. So what the agent did was go and call LinkedIn. There's an open source MCP server of LinkedIn. It used that to crawl the social feed of all those people and created a proposals for them. All of, everybody, if you see this MCP tool marketplace, just search, you will find thousands of tools. Every popular product you use has an MCP server. Okay, for example, YouTube. Okay, YouTube even has an official MCP server. And so many others. There are so many developer tools also. Okay, Context 7 is one very famous MCP server. Has anyone used it? So Context 7 basically does simple thing. It has documentation of all the popular projects out there. So whenever you're developing a React project or something, you can actually integrate Context 7 and it will query Context 7 to get documentation of those projects and then work accordingly. All right. So there are thousands of MCP tools, even Microsoft 365, anything, your Google Drive, everything. आप लोग कुछ भी data. Earlier days, what we used to do to call an API, we would write code, create clients. Now we don't need to do it. You can write instructions in pure English or Hindi or Kannada and ask it to do things which you earlier would do in JavaScript or Python. And the LLM will do it. That's the beauty of MCP servers. Okay. So now actually let's get started with the workshop. And why don't we all head to this URL, Godspeed System/workshop, find the link to this Google Drive, and let's actually get started with the small exercises. Let's do stuff. Unless someone has a question. Anyone has any question? No?
Like, so you said like you use many MCP servers to connect with them. So when you automate the task, right, like the LinkedIn, you rollback of 1 month of the post, then you create personalized messages for it. So similarly, I had seen there is OS that people have created as long-term OS. So what's the difference that you are trying to create from that?
From what?
Warm build OS, this operating system is like they're trying to automate the tasks, like for HRs who want to send messages to all their clients. So they're creating a similar thing as warm build OS. Like, what's the difference between your products and the operating system?
Correct. So basically, This particular tool, firstly, the one we are seeing, no, is for coding.
This particular tool, right?
Correct, correct. And the second one, we are making RAG agents for individuals and teams. So we are not trying to solve the problem with 100 other people are solving. For example, agents for marketing teams. We are not doing that. We are going to go for spiritual masters, life coaches, career counselors, influencers, get their content, get their agent online. So you can ask any question about any topic and get answers for that, basically. For example, let me just quickly show you. We have built this particular tool and it's an MCP server again. Where is it? Okay. GSC.systems. This is a RAG agent I'm going to show you. Okay, it should load a previous chat. Okay. So what we have done, there's a course called Universal Human Values. It is taken in many Indian colleges. And this course talks us about meaning of our career, success, what does success in life mean, how can you be a happy person, so on and so forth. Okay. So I asked a question, how can we ensure lasting happiness in life? All right. And we put in the database YouTube videos, transcripts of a lecture series of 15 lectures from these people. Okay. So all of that is in a vector database and it is able to answer from the talks within that particular lecture. And you can go and watch it right on YouTube from there. Okay, this was just a proof of concept I showed you. All right. So these are the kind of things that we are trying to build. We are trying to work on human impact. Okay, B2B, that's called B2B, business to business. That comes later for us. First B2C. Our first audience is students, institutions, and individual founders, and plus people who are seeking answers to questions. Okay. So, coming back here. Okay. So, it basically started creating YouTube MCP server. It went somewhere else, nonetheless. But where were we? We were there. So shall we start with the workshop? Are you guys up for coding? What's your mood like today? You are up for coding? So let's get started. Okay. Have you opened this URL? कहाँ गया वो? Godspeed System/workshop पे जाइए. ये वाला URL. इधर एक Google Drive मिलेगा. And I will also invite my team member Dipesh to share his screen. Dipesh, are you there? Hello. 1 second, Dipesh. Yes, Dipesh. Can you speak? Yes, good. Can you share your screen, Dipesh? So I understand that not all of you may be having laptops, you may or not all have connection. So whatever we are going to do in this workshop, Dipesh is going to show on the screen also, each step. All right. But I really encourage as many of you as you can, get your hands dirty. It's a good opportunity. All right. So /workshop. Godspeed.systems/workshop. Okay. Once we go there, ये आता है. Let's install Godspeed first, the framework. Okay. It's a Node.js based framework. Same Express हम देखेंगे, but we will see schema driven development, how we are doing better coding in Express. Okay. But let's install Godspeed. How many of you are actually doing hands-on? Let me quickly have. Okay, great. If you get stuck, there is Krishna also who will help you. Krishna, you can raise your hand. Just call us. Anyone is stuck, we will help you. Okay. Krishna or Sarthi. Krishna is our intern, and he actually the coach board that we have in Sarthi has been built by him, and he is a good prompt engineer, a big hacker, and 5 interns from IIT Kanpur were with us this summer, so he's one of them. And all right, Sarthi, who's installing Godspeed right now? Godspeed में कहाँ पहुँचे आप लोग? हो गया? हो रहा है? हो ही नहीं रहा है? क्या बोल रहा है? You don't have NVM? NVM. So can you install NVM? That is a prerequisite. अब Sakshi, do we need to install NVM या script कर देगी ये? Did you run the script? वहां जो मिली? Script run कीजिए ना. ये देखिए, I am going here. Let me show you. This script you ran. It didn't work. Which operating system do you have? Mac. For you it's working. Can you please show him how it worked for you? Anyone else facing a problem installing Godspeed या चल रहा है?
ये error दोनों में आ रहा है.
Could not be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. आपको ना enable करना होगा script running system पे. Windows की setting होगी आपकी. Just search on Google. Just search on Google मिलेगा. So for anyone on Windows, right? If you're getting this issue that running scripts is disabled, just search on Google. In Windows, you will need to allow running JavaScript and such scripts. तो वो आप set करना होगा. Is anyone else getting this problem? हाँ, just search on Google. You will find a solution. वो आपको जो एरर आ रहा है ना गूगल पे पेस्ट कीजिए गूगल विल गिव सॉल्यूशन रनिंग स्क्रिप्ट्स इज डिसेबल्ड दैट पर्टिकुलर एरर तो इंस्टॉल हुआ है आपका पाथ में नहीं होगा यू नीड टू रीस्टार्ट योर टर्मिनल मे बी आफ्टर इंस्टॉलेशन है ना तब आएगा पाथ में Sorry, Sakshi, what are you saying? आवाज बहुत हल्की आ रही है हाँ this getting started Sakshi correct there's this getting started guide right इसके थ्रू गुजरिए सब लोग don't do manual installation okay just follow the script this is installing NVM Node.js Godspeed framework core pack dependencies okay who has crossed the first step can you install Sarthi second step VS code खोलिए go to marketplace if you have not used this is VS code यहाँ पे marketplace आता है extensions here in search Sarthi click it open it install it extensions marketplace Sarthi can work independently of Godspeed. Let me just be clear. Sarthi is not limited to the framework, okay? Whatever coding you do, it can be done via Sarthi. Everything. And you can connect any LLM key with it. Google Gemini, Claude, and any LLM key you can. This supports many LLMs. You can connect any one of them. Okay. Sarthi is similar to Cloud Code, yes. So Sarthi is similar to Cloud Code. Yes. So Sarthi can read files, write files on your operating system. It can run commands. It can do all of that stuff. How is it going? Anyone facing problems? Ho gaya? Okay. Can we proceed to next step? Okay. So the next step is we'll go to Sarthi and ask a create Godspeed project. There's a workflow. Let's run that. Dipesh, you want to show it on your screen? So basically, we go to create Godspeed project and it will create a new project for you. Yes, tell me. Sorry.
फर्स्ट पहले हमें ना समझ नहीं आ रहा है क्या कर रहे हैं
हाँ, आपने कोडिंग नहीं की कभी?
नहीं हमारा फर्स्ट ईयर है हम पहली बार
ठीक है. अब गॉडस्पीड इंस्टॉल हो गया?
नहीं
वो स्क्रिप्ट से इंस्टॉल करो ना, रन करके. वो गेटिंग स्टार्टेड पेज में जाके यहाँ पे जाओ, गॉडस्पीड इंस्टॉल करो, ये कॉपी करो, विंडोज पावरशेल एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर खोलो और ये रन तब करो. यहाँ कॉपी खाई करना. हाँ,
और सेल पे जाऊंगा, इसको क्लोज कर देना.
इन्वोक वेब रिकॉग्निशन नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड.
अगर मैं पावर सेल को देखूं
तो आपकी ये एरर देखिए ना क्या आ रही है. वेब ये आपका है क्यों नहीं यहाँ पे? ये आपका विंडोज में है ही नहीं है यहाँ पे.
इसको भी इंस्टॉल करना.
हाँ, ये इन्वोक वेब रिक्वेस्ट आपको करनी होगी. गूगल पे सर्च करो, डिबग करो.
So I'm facing this kind of issue when I pasted this link.
What issue?
I pasted
हाँ.
this link to here, but this this is not running well.
वेयर टर्मिनल में रन करेंगे ना आप उसको.
So डायरेक्ट टर्मिनल में करना है.
हाँ, गूगल पे चलाओगे.
Okay, sure.
टर्मिनल पे रन कीजिए ना. लिखा तो है साफ साफ क्या करना है. खोलो पढ़ो. ओपन PowerShell एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर एंड रन. एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर खोलिए. एज एडमिन राइट क्लिक ओपन एज एडमिन. PowerShell वाले यूजर्स राइट क्लिक ओपन एज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर. वहां लिखा हुआ है साफ साफ. ऐसे रन करोगे तो नहीं चलेगा. रन द स्क्रिप्ट. हो गया. हो गई. इंस्टॉल सारथी. नेक्स्ट स्टेप इन VS कोड. हाँ, गॉडस्पीड इंस्टॉल हो गया. डिड यू रन गॉडस्पीड माइनस वर्जन आ रहा है. देखो टाइप इन गॉडस्पीड -v. किसी भी टर्मिनल में VS कोड में कर लीजिए. ओपन अ न्यू टर्मिनल. Okay, Dipesh, just wait. So, how many of you proceeded to create a new project? चल रहा है workflow? क्या हुआ? Workflow? आपने अभी इंस्टॉल नहीं किया? सारथी नहीं. आप पहले की सेट कीजिए ना अपनी. गूगल जेमिनाई सर्च करो. फ्री की होगी आपके पास. अच्छा, by the way, when you install Sarthi, no, it will ask for a key. Give Google Gemini or whatever keys you have. Cloud Code दे दो, best है. आपका पुराना है VS Code वर्जन. नया इंस्टॉल कर लो VS Code. ठीक है ना. I think you are outdated. Copilot से ज्यादा चीजें करता है. मतलब Copilot Pro भी जैसे है. हाँ, सिमिलर है सिमिलर है. हाँ, है सिमिलर. So as we can see, continue कीजिए दीपेश. Okay, so the project is created. आप लोग में कितने लोग का हो गया क्रिएट प्रोजेक्ट? 1 2 3 4 5 6. बाकी लोग कहाँ पे हैं अभी? गॉडस्पीड किसका अभी तक इंस्टॉल नहीं हुआ? इंटरनेट इश्यू. नो प्रॉब्लम, यू जस्ट वॉच. ओके, है ना. बाद में कर लीजिएगा. इंस्ट्रक्शंस तो है ही एंड रिकॉर्डिंग होगी. ठीक है. ओके, सारथी किसका इंस्टॉल हो गया है? सारथी तो सब लोग इंस्टॉल कर लो. ठीक है ना. ओके, लेट्स प्रोसीड टू नेक्स्ट स्टेप. ओके, Dipesh, can you flash the screen? What's the next step after creating this? So where have we reached? We've created a project with a scaffolding. Okay, Dipesh, let's quickly flash the project directory जो Godspeed की create हुई है. Okay, very slowly. Okay, now let's come to the lessons. Okay, देखिए, सबसे पहले मैंने आपसे बात की थी schema driven development and single source of truth. Okay, at least for those of you who are not running anything right now, you can see here. Have you ever seen an API defined like this anywhere? नहीं देखा होगा. ये हमारा यूनिक स्टाइल है. ठीक है. तो ये प्योर YAML कोड है. ओके, in Godspeed world, whether you create an API or you call a Kafka based event, WebSocket event, cron job, everything is an event. Okay, two kinds of events are there in software engineering. One is synchronous, second is asynchronous. Kafka you know Kafka message bus सुना है? Message bus is socket सुना है? Socket. Socket is asynchronous because you don't wait for response, right? You fire the event and you forget. Correct? There can be 1,000 consumers listening on the event, है ना? Asynchronous. ठीक है? Cron देखा है? मशीन पे सबकी चलता है ना cron. Cron timers के लिए होता है asynchronous, okay? But HTTP, GraphQL, gRPC, request response, that's a synchronous event, sync events, okay? तो Godspeed में whether is it HTTP और socket और Kafka कुछ भी हो, आपका ये पार्ट सेम रहता है. This never changes. This is Swagger spec, Open API spec. How many of you have heard Swagger? Open API spec. Please note it down, everyone. Good. Open API spec is a standard to declare APIs. ऐसा दिखता है वो. मेरी API में what are the parameters I take? I am taking a name in the HTTP query or something in the header. ये मेरी body, अगर कुछ body भी आती है, so it's a way to define the schema of your API. What inputs my API takes, what output it will give. This is my output. 200 status code. अगर होगा, I will return a JSON object which will have a type string schema, content return होगा ये, okay? And ये मेरा input है. This is a simple hello world app. I'm going to call this function. When this API is called, ये FN is function. Hello world will be called. Okay? Second, authentication is disabled. JWT, OAuth2, all of this can be set out here. It's disabled right now. This is a URL, HTTP protocol, get/hello world. Okay? This is how Godspeed, that's why we call it 4th generation or abstraction driven framework, schema driven development. What we have done is define schema of our API. Okay? Now what we will see today. From this schema, Dipesh, can you please run this app, Godspeed? Thus, many things will be automatically generated. Okay? You don't even need to call AI, write code for that. For example, based on this schema, my API validations will start working. आप लोग जब कोड लिखते हो Node.js Express में या Python में, API जो कॉल होती है, you validate your inputs, right? In name must be a string, cannot be null. You should not need to write that. You should just declare a schema. खुद validation होना चाहिए. Because you are introducing chance of error, right? आपने API बनाया. Imagine there's a front-end developer separate from you. Okay? You forgot to write validation schema. Possible? होता है ना? हो गया पंगा फिर. But वो होना ही नहीं चाहिए. The moment both of you define a common schema, he can be assured validations will work. The moment you say कि authn is true, authentication, बस वो authentication खुद on हो जाएगा इसके ऊपर. Response आप बोलते हो मैं भाई string दूंगी response में, तो string ही आएगा, उसको guarantee होनी चाहिए. Without you having to write code for that. ठीक है? First step, validations आपके खुद होने लग जाएंगे input output के. Second step, open the Swagger, Dipesh. Once you start the service, run Godspeed serve, ये URL आपका आ जाएगा. Okay? This is a app running. ये इसमें एक API आपने बनाई थी. See, this is second use case of schema driven development. What? इसको आपने Postman collection तो देखे होंगे, right? हाँ. So basically, Swagger is a global standard now of how to define APIs, और Swagger का एक collection APIs का बनता है. So now we have automatically generated the collection from that schema. Typically in teams, how do people manage Postman? इसे आप Postman में भी import कर सकते हैं. This can be turned into a Postman collection by importing. Okay? How do teams manage Postman collection? Good teams, they auto-generate. But not so good teams, developer physically, manually create Postman collections. Now, can you imagine the mistakes that can happen? I update an API, forgot to update the collection. Correct? है ना? तो schema driven development में ये भी generate हो गया. इसके अलावा Redux, you guys work with UI? Redux पे API slices बनते हैं. We can auto generate them from Swagger. We will see today. Without writing a single line of code. These first 2 points. Single source of truth is this API schema. Everything is derived from this. This is a best practice of engineering. You should always strive to write software जहां पे सोर्स ऑफ ट्रूथ एक जगह होना चाहिए, 2 जगह रिपीट नहीं होनी चाहिए बात कभी भी. ठीक है ना. इसके अलावा और भी बहुत चीजें होती है, देखेंगे हम. आपका यूआई बन जाता है, आपकी CRUD एपीआई बन जाती है, एपीआई क्लाइंट्स बन जाते हैं, बहुत कुछ स्कीमा ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट्स हो जाता है. सो लेट्स कॉल दिस एपीआई. See, it is saying name is required from the schema. आप लोग में किस किस का प्रोजेक्ट चल गया सेकंड स्टेप तक? Let's Dipesh, go back to the second step in the PDF. ये कमांड चलाइए. If you have created project create हो गया किस किस का? How many people? Only 6. Same people? Good. जितने भी है. Next, run Godspeed serve. What about all of you? आप लोग इंस्टॉल नहीं हो पा रहा है? नहीं हो रहा है? Can't install. Charging over? No problem. Rest of you can watch over friend. Godspeed serve. हो गया? Next. Now let's prompt Sarthi. What we will ask Sarthi now, modify the hello world API endpoint by creating 2 fields, first name and last name. ठीक है जी? चलो आ जाओ दीपेश. We'll come to that. Data, so basically data sources are all places where you store data or retrieve data from. Database is a kind of data source, a subset. Even an API is a data source because you store data or retrieve data from an API. Your file system is a data source. Correct? So database is also a data source. So Godspeed brings those abstractions of data sources. So see, it's modifying the schema, adding first name and last name. Save kar do. Now it will go change the code. So it is modifying the code as well. It did it. Let's test. Okay. चलाइए. Wonderful. Huh? This is a simple task जो भी तो हमने किया है. All right. We can go to more complex stuff. But before this, Dipesh, come back to the function. Let's come to event handler. So abhi what we saw how we defined a schema of an event, and using single source of truth and schema driven development, we were able to generate Swagger, and we are able to do validation. Only 2 use cases abhi we saw. There are more. But look at how a function is defined in Godspeed. You see, there is no Express.js object here. आप लोग Node.js Express, how many of you have worked in Node.js Express? Okay, how many of you know Python Django? Right? So whenever you write an event handler, by event handler I mean the function which consumes your API. Okay? जब भी आप वो function लिखते हो, तो उसका request response object you handle, right? Of Express. Here, this project is also running via Express, by the way. But do you see any Express? No? Correct? This is this guardrail, the last one. Modular architecture, decoupled architecture. I will always write code which is highly maintainable, highly agile. If I have to replace Express with Fastify, I should not need to change one line in my project. That's 10x engineering. You see? Isme, I can change any HTTP server. Same code can be exposed via GraphQL, gRPC, forget HTTP. It can even be on socket. Doesn't matter. I am getting input in a JSON object and I am returning output in a JSON object. Okay. Whenever you create software, always keep a decoupled architecture. It's called decoupling. Okay. That way it is maintainable, modular, forever agile. Okay, do you like this concept? Appeals to you? Good. अब quickly देखिए यहाँ पे क्या है? The JSON we are getting, this is TypeScript. Uncomment कर दीजिए दीपेश ये सारे एक बार. Okay. From my HTTP object which came, हमने JSON निकाल ली. I am getting first name, last name in query object. It was in query HTTP. Plus, if you have headers, you will get headers. If you had a body in HTTP call, it will come in body. Everything will be available here. ठीक है? जब आप response भेजते हैं, you can set your headers, you can send your response, and status code 200. ठीक है जी? This is how it's working. Completely modular. Let's show Express की YAML file Dipesh, event source. So in Godspeed's world, same as Node.js. Only Node.js, nothing else, okay? But we are doing things with 10x engineering in mind. Look at HTTP, how we defined HTTP.yaml, event source, Dipesh. HTTP.yaml, event source. Okay? Type Express. It's a plugin. This microservice framework works on plugin based architecture, decoupled architecture. I can install as many plugins, Express, GraphQL, gRPC, okay? You can write your own plugins also. And then this is Swagger documentation setting. Come down, Dipesh, scroll. This is the third, I'm showing you this right now. Configure over code. आप लोग ने Node.js Express में कोड करके सेट किया होगा ना हमेशा Express.js. Correct? Here there is zero coding. There's only a configuration. Right? No coding required. And second, decoupled architecture. If I want to replace this with Fastify plugin, in Node.js there's another HTTP server called Fastify. आप जानते हो only one line will change. ये कहाँ गए Dipesh? Hello Dipesh. Why are we opening this Swagger JSON? Can we come back to HTTP? HTTP.yaml. Come down. Come down. ये सब commented out है. Uncomment authent JWT 32 to 36. If I want to enable JWT authentication, I'll just configure it. Okay? ठीक है? So on and so forth. इस प्रकार से everything, authorization, everything can be configured. Now, Dipesh, go to top. If I want to replace with Fastify, we created plugin compatible to that. Come to top, Dipesh, first line. Just write type Fastify. You know what? And we move to Fastify server now. We just install Fastify plugin. Same configuration will work because we designed it like that. There's also Socket, Kafka, AWS, and many other plugins which are already supported in Godspeed. Update is there. Correct. These plugins are right now in public. GS plugins. Can you show Dipesh? Godspeed. Google पे search करो Godspeed plugins. Correct. That you will need to do otherwise also. But if you want to upgrade a new Express server plugin and let's say API has changed, you will need to change your code in Next.js also. Here, if you have 100 projects,
we are writing type Fastify, right? Because we have in backend that all
yes.
Let's say there comes a plugin which is not in a backend. Then we will have to like if we are using Next.js, we can manually add it using the documentation. But until and unless in your backend that new plugin comes in, you can't use it in this way, right?
You can actually create a plugin yourself And even if you don't create a plugin, you can directly use it. Yes. You don't need to create a plugin. You can, there's event sources folder, go and create your event source. All right, you can do that. There's all documentation is available. And even the Sarthi is able to do it. So, एक minute, Dipesh, I want to see list of plugins here. Go to plugins folder. These are a bunch of plugins. You can also create your plugins, contribute to these plugins. Plus, you're not dependent on plugins like you asked. You can just straight away go use anything in your project. It doesn't limit or inhibit in any way. आप coding कर सकते हैं. But we always recommend don't code, configure if you can, reuse. Because see, if you're working as a team tomorrow in a job, you have 5 projects, new developers come and join the company. You would ideally like to give them an infrastructure ready-made so that everyone gives the same output. Otherwise, chaos in the company. Correct? That's the use of this. You will have to maintain this for that. Yes, that's true. Okay. Next step, pe Dipesh, let's proceed. All right. So let's add Gemini to our app. Let's make an agentic app now. All right. This app will call Gemini API and it will return a response from there. Okay. Dipesh ji. Yeah. So he's adding a query from the user in the API. And it will install Google Generative API in this project, a package, and it will call it. Install कर दिया इसने? Let's see the code, Dipesh. Okay. So we are calling the Google Gemini API right now. आगे बढ़ते हैं. How many of you are still trying this? कर रहे हैं? Anyone? Okay. Good. Done? Is it done, Dipesh? चला के दिखा दो. अच्छा, ये फास्टिफाई हटा दीजिए. यू हैव नॉट इंस्टॉल्ड फास्टिफाई. एक्सप्रेस कर दो उसे. JWT भी डिसेबल कर दीजिएगा क्योंकि आपने कीज नहीं सेट की हैं उसकी. की डालनी होगी आपको. Okay, any questions while he sets this up? Any questions so far? Any observations or thoughts you would like to share? किसी का भी? Would anyone like to share something you learned today? Yeah, it worked. Okay, so today we made a agentic app in a way, a very simple agentic app. Okay, but you can also try making this. It's amazing if in your portfolio you can develop some applications which use AI agents, LLMs, RAG agents बनाइए, and do it with best practices always, right? You should always focus on learning best practices. Don't be an engineer who just gets the job done. Do it well. Okay, that's what will make you stand out in your career. That's what will create value for any company you work with. Okay, many times I see interns who use vibe coding. All right, they will implement a feature and come. Not just me, many people in my colleagues, my peers, right? They say बच्चे feature बना के आ गए, बोले चलाता हुए दिखा दिया, आदमी खुश हो गया, wow, it's working. And then you ask them, how did you make it work? They have zero clue. No clue. Because AI went and made it. So such people, you tell me, will such a mindset have a space in industry? Will a company keep them? No, right? So hence, we have to have our own thinking, our own knowledge, right? We should always, whatever we ship, we should know what we shipped and why did we implement it the way we did it. Okay? And be able to explain to anyone. And always write code which will last for generations. Right? You should be proud of the work you do, that the kind of code you write. So now this was about this workshop a little bit, and I hope that you will be taking some good things from this workshop. Anyone would like to share? आप क्या अच्छी चीज ली आज की वर्कशॉप से? कोई भी कुछ शेयर करना चाहेगा? For everybody, because we are learning together, right? किसी ने आपने क्या सीखा आज? What did you learn today? Any one thing? वहां भी देख सकते हो. Single source of truth. चमका आपको बात है ना? Can you speak loudly?
Like, it's not necessarily like I made a project and there were like 2 decent person. They were like, they should help me one.
Exactly. Because information is same. Right? So your information should never be in two places. Okay? Secondly, another example of single source of truth. If you write business logic, same logic in two places, poor practice. One logic in one place, that's single source of truth. Reusable functions. Correct? वो example था. Anything else someone would like to share? How? हाँ हाँ बताइए. बहुत अच्छी बात, क्या बात है. तो यूज भी कीजिएगा और हमें बताइएगा कैसा लगा. आप सब लोग, I would love to hear personally feedback of Sarthi from you. Okay, before we conclude. Number one, try Sarthi, try the framework. We have a Discord channel. I'm available on LinkedIn. Okay, just be in touch with us. Plus, you can just add me on LinkedIn. We'll be in touch. And you can contact us through our website also for any questions. Okay, before we go, I will play a last 2-minute video. We need 2 more minutes, please. Okay, I'll play a last video of a program for colleges that we have. We can see it before we go. और आप लोग को कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो, कुछ भी क्वेश्चन हो, feel free to reach out. I'll be there as a friend. Okay, everyone feel comfortable. So before we sign off, let me just show you a video. Thanks Dipesh, है ना? इसको हम आप स्क्रीन शेयर रोक सकते हैं. So we have started a program. We are just about to start across India, and this we are approaching institutes, colleges, okay, for full preparation of students for life, right? Professional upskilling and personal. Let's have a look. आवाज शायद थोड़ी कमी होगी, पर देखते हैं. Captions, huh? Good idea. यहाँ से यहाँ पे भी आ जाएगा सबटाइटल्स, राइट? ओके. Yeah, I hope you were able to follow this. So, thank you. So, we want to help students from across India and the world. And you are welcome to join this mission. And hence, you are very welcome to also approach us with any questions and including activities we could do in your colleges also. All right. You may contact Krishna. He's sitting right there. And he will share you contact information and we can set up something within your college as well. All right, best of luck. Thank you so much for joining, and let's have one photo before we go. Okay, all right. I'll just try with one selfie first. Let's see if it comes. Yeah, all right. Okay, cheese everyone. Very nice, lovely. Have a good day. Enjoy.
Hi, it's really nice listening to your workshop. I have a few questions for you.
Hanji.
Before, like as of you mentioned, like there are many MCQs you're using in Saudi. I wanted to know how do you handle that propagation, security boundaries when external rules fall or return unexpected data?
How do you handle
Like how do you handle the error propagations and security boundaries when external rules fall or return unexpected data?
unexpected data? This is where schema driven development becomes very important. So even when you integrate other APIs, you can actually create API clients from their schemas. जैसे if you consume an API, अगर उसका swagger collection है आपके पास, तो आप उसका API client generate कर सकते हैं using open source tools in Java, JavaScript, Python. So the API client will validate the response also.